What cheer, y'all? Well, we'll continue on with our Breeders' Cup coverage and talk about the Turf Mile. It's a grade one, the 10th race. It's the denouement after the Classic. It's running a mile on the turf for 3-year-olds and up. Um, I would venture to guess this is probably the best betting race on the day. And I'll tell you why. The European Mile Division is a mess. Seemingly every miler who was prominent last year at 3 have not gone on. On Champions Day at Ascot a couple weeks ago, I pointed that out in the post we did on it. And look what happened. It was a monster long shot, Cicero's Gift, who won. And Lion in Winter, who's in here, finished second. It's a wide open division. There's just a lot of hair on the Europeans coming over because it's just not a great division. It's very similar to the Euros and the Turf Sprint division. It's just not very good. They're kind of beating up on each other. Field of Gold, who was supposed to be a world beater who won the 2000 Guineas, he just hasn't moved forward facing older horses. Rosalian, who was a monster last year at a mile, hasn't been the same. So I say that when you look at these Euros, don't necessarily think that they're top class and they're world beaters, because a lot of them aren't. They're not leaders in the division because the division is just sort of nobody's really taking control of it per se. So I say that so we keep that in mind when we look at this race. You can see Kirat is the only confirmed front runner. Kirat has an interesting little thing, is that he's 2 for 2 at Goodwood. Goodwood is a very tight track. It's not as tight as Del Mar, I don't think, but it kind of plays that way. So from that perspective, Kirat is a little bit interesting. But here's the problem I have: is his last race, or when go back to say the Sussex Stakes, where he faced Rosalian, Field of Gold, all those horses I mentioned, and he did win the race, but he was hard up to do it. He tactically had the advantage. He was ahead, and that's where he wanted to be. All the others were laying back in the weeds, including Docklands was another one, and they all came late, and he hung on to win. Not to me an effort that says this is a world beater. There's enough horses in here of similar makeup to tell me that Kirat's not going to be able to take them all the way, so I'm going to leave out Kirat. Line in Winter, for Aidan O'Brien, is certainly hard to overlook. And if you want to use him, I suppose you can. But again, all he could manage in that last race at Ascot on Champions Day was second. And like I say, it was a really saggy race. There just wasn't a lot of horses who just were not in good form. And that's why I downplay it. And I'm not going to use them. And for that reason, I may be wrong. He may rebound. He may be on his way up. But at 6-1, coming out of that race, given the state of the mile division in Europe, it's an underlay to me. So I will, and now I may change post time, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave off Lion in Winter, even though it's Aidan O'Brien. Okay. Now, I talked about the state of this division. Well, if you look at the U.S. runners, I think it's a little more form-fitting, isn't it? I mean, Johannes is still there. He's a great miler. Program trading is one that, I think cutting back to a mile is going to make more sense for him. Now, he lost to Rhetorical last time, and we did pick Rhetorical to beat him. But I think it was more a case of Rhetorical catching program trading at the right time. It was certainly pointed for the Breeders' Cup. This is the race he wants to win, and if you look at it, Chad Brown's got him third off the layoff. He's in prime position, and it won't surprise me at all if program trading wins this race. I do have a little bit of concern. He's not quite the horse he used to be. And so, again, with the Breeders' Cup, you've heard me say this in all my posts, or most of them. I'm looking for horses with upside who are progressing, not necessarily status quo or regressing. That's the way I'm trying to look at this uh, Breeders' Cup. Now, Rhetorical is certainly one of those horses. He's been getting better and better with every start, culminated in his last one at Keeneland, where he beat Program Trading and got him a 9-1. Hip hip hooray! Love that. Uh, you know, I, this is certainly a step up in class per se, but maybe not necessarily as much as you might think, given the state of the Euros. So I think Rhetorical makes sense in here as a horse who is getting better, and won't surprise me if he wins. He's probably my second choice. But I'm going to go with Salon. And the reason being is now this is a Euro. That's absolutely true. And you can say, well, yeah, but Alex, you just told us you don't like the mile division. That's right. I don't, except for one thing. Salon is progressing steadily with every single start. Again, has that class rating, race rating progression. You've heard me talk about it a lot on the Derby Trail, where the class rating of the race, meaning the horse's performance level, is increasing as the race rating, meaning the class of the race, is getting tougher. That's a great progression. I think Salon is coming into this race in really good form, and that's my pick to win at 6-1. I think you're getting a nice square price. Is this a wide open race? You bet it is. Absolutely, and that's why you may be surprised I'm leaving off Johannes. Um, Johannes has done nothing wrong. He finished second in this race last year, but that last race, the speed figure came back awful slow. And the thing that really bothered me was they really left him back there a ways. Uh, and I never like seeing horses with really, really slow fractions for the first couple and then a big kick at the end. I almost think it's like, the analogy might be like I remember that, this is a wild one, but follow this. The Celtics back in the 80s, they got to the point where the third quarter they were turning it on and then sort of coasting in the fourth. And it was sort of like we can turn it on when we need to type of thing. And that's what that looks like for me with Johannes. Again, I could be completely wrong, but if a race is going to be wide open, I'm looking for horses moving up and I'm looking for value. So I'm going to reluctantly, regrettably, leave off Johannes because, again, I think that it seems like a status quo type of situation. I want horses are moving up. That's why I'm going to use Formidable Man. Now, you can say, for sure, Umberto Rispoli, he stayed on Johannes, and understandably. He's got a track record, and this horse was great in the Breeders' Cup last year, but Formidable Man is 6 for 6 at Del Mar. You can't overlook that. Secondly, this is a horse who's 4 years old who continues to move forward and continues to progress. So I'll take a little better odds at 10-1 and use Formidable Man, who maybe has another jump in him ahead of Johannes. So we use Formidable Man. That's the reasoning. Jonquil is a horse that it seems to be ran a pretty nice race coming to the States for the first time. There is the theory that sometimes the Euros, once they get off the jet, the next race, they kind of let down a little bit. May be the case. But if I'm going to look for a wild card, a closer at good odds who could upset the apple cart, I like Jean Kiel in this one at 10-1. That's my reasoning. Now, I'm going to talk about Notable Speech a little bit. Notable Speech, had a good Woodbine mile. Notable Speech was a very good 3-year-old last year. I believe he won the 2,000 guineas. But again, look at his record of this year. He's not lighting the world on fire. Now, his last couple starts have been pretty good. But I wanted to see a little bit more out of him. And again, this is a horse with a lot of promise, and he just hasn't seemed to have moved forward. So, because I think this is such a wide open race, I'm tossing him. He's 5-2. I think he's an underlay when you compare him to the rest of the field. I really think if the Americans have a pretty good shot in this one to upset the Euros. I really believe that. So I think it's a wide open race, but we are going to go with a Euro. We're going to go with Salon because he is progressing and moving forward, and that's going to be our theme for this race. So looking at the wagering strategy, we're going to go with Salon to win. And then we're going to go with Rhetorical as the second choice. So we're going to go 3-11, 11-3. Then we're going to go with an exacta. That'd be a key box, by the way. 3 on top with 5, 8, and 10. Program trading, Formidable Man, and Jean Kiel. For trifecta, this is where we're going to go a little crazy. We're going to go 3-11, 3-11 with 5, 8, 10. Then we go 3-11 with 5, 8, 10 with 3-11. But then, because this is a wide open race, I think, we've got to have some crazy prices in our trifecta somewhere. So we're going to go throw the 6 and the 9 in there. Argene from Japan and Grand Orient from South America. Why not? It's just one of those fields. Like I say, I think there's a lot of vulnerable horses in here. I think there's a lot of them who are on the downside or who maybe never are just not moving up as you might think. And really, I'm telling you that that race from Ascot, I think, was very, very telling. That you had some some horses with high-powered pedigrees, resumes from the past, and none of them showed up. And I'm telling you, they're not as good as you might think. So we will go with Salon, a Euro, because that is one that is moving forward. The others, I don't necessarily think have that in to take this race. So hopefully we're going to get a pretty good price in, again, I think a really wide open race. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And thanks again to all of you who continue to support us. Really love the comments the last couple of days. Heard from some old favorites like John Moeller. Good to hear from you again. And I've heard from some people I haven't heard from on Team Bitcoin and a couple others that have made some really good analyses. And, of course, the ubiquitous Andrew Carpenter. Andrew, thank you for being so loyal and making your presence felt. I do appreciate it. So we got a couple more left. We got the Dirt Mile and the Filly and Mare Turf. We will have those for you before Saturday. And life does get in the way a little bit, but I think we've certainly got plenty to chew on for you before we throw in the last two. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.